Somebody asked me in the comments for my feedback on digital consoles and why they depreciate so quick compared to the analog consoles. And they should make a distinction between a digital console and a digital control surface, because control surfaces don't have any mic pre's in there, and the monitor section is kind of limited. But they do depreciate pretty quickly. I remember DigiDesign had their Pro Control, and then that was pretty expensive. And then they came out with the Control 24, and then they came out with the D Control and the D Command and variations of that, and then they came out with the whole S6 and S4 and all that stuff. But with DigiDesign specifically, what they would do is phase things out, so things wouldn't work with Pro Tools anymore. So the Pro Control was made so no more updates for it, and the D Control and D Command, I don't know if they work with the newer version of Pro Tools anymore. And now with the S6 and S4, you have to pay it's kind of a licensing fee to use those things every year, and they're pretty hefty. You can use the smaller control surfaces, the S1, and that's modular, and the dock that's modular, and not have to pay that licensing fee. But with the control surfaces, it was planned obsolescence. That's what was going on with Avid and DigiDesign. The other thing people have to understand, that code from DigiDesign or Avid, how to control Pro Tools, was never released out to the public. So all these other control surfaces, they just follow Mackie Huey. Mackie at one point had gotten to a point where they could make their control surface, was called a Huey. It would work in Pro Tools, and it worked through MIDI. And a lot of people just made their control surfaces work in that mode. So it's volumes, bands, not as detailed as the Avid spec, but it works. So that's yet, and the resolution of the faders weren't as accurate as they were with the Avid control surfaces. But that's with the control surfaces. Now, and so as far as them depreciating, it was just planned that way, because Control 24 is still a nice console. Well, it has, and that one does have mic pre's in it. So, but there's no processing, no EQs of that. It's just a control surface. But that had problems with the power supply, and they were running out of parts to fix those things. But that's control surfaces. Digital consoles, like Yamaha makes a digital console. I think PreSonus makes digital consoles, but those things, it's just that they get old, and the sampling rates. I remember the RSP control surface, the Project X, the one I sold to Teddy Riley and I sold to Manchester Craftsman Guild. The maximum sampling rate was 48K. So, when you got into the 96K and the 192 and the 384 and then DSD, I don't even know if there's a DSD console, out there. That's a whole other, subject. But as the sampling rates get higher and the consoles can't support them, there's another reason they depreciate in value. There's another thing too, and I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but SSL, when they made their big digital console, I think it was the Axiom, they didn't realize this, but when you put an EQ in on a channel and the compressor in on a channel, it had a different latency than if the next channel that had just EQ on or just the compressor. So after making them, they realized that was a big problem. And those consoles, they were very expensive, and they were kind of almost worthless. I remember Mutt Lang had one, and he was trying to fix it and modify it and get it to work and do everything. And then he kind of gave up on it, and it got sold to Angel Mountain, which was a really bad idea. I had nothing to do with it. I was gone from the place, but I heard that they bought one. But and I heard that they paid good money for it, and they should never have paid good money for that console, because I guess one way around it is just have the EQ and the compressor on every channel and make the latency all the same. But people didn't know, and there was other things that created latency. in that console. That's early digital consoles, but when you're asking why are they depreciating, it's at the very beginning. They there was flaws in the console design, and even the new ones now. I mean, they're better and they work great and all that, but um, as they come out with faster processors and you know more more features, they're just going to lose their value, and they lose them fast. Analog consoles, if you have an old Neve, you have an old API, those things, they'll just constantly hold their value. Anything digital like the euphonics, those things, I don't think they're worth a whole lot of money right now. Um, but that's just the way it is. So somebody wanted my opinion. There you go.